Okay, for Roomy and Rooster Teeth fanatics, I've got good news and bad news. The good news is, a few days ago, we finally got a release date for RWBY Volume 9, February 18th, 2023. The bad news, it's no longer under the Rooster Teeth banner. It's going to be on, you're not going to be able to see it on Rooster Teeth's main site. You got to go to Crunchyroll to do it. Why? Because with the way the guy that came into Sony and has been basically purging and War Discovery has been purging and consolidating animation properties, Rooster Teeth is just about dead. Personally, I think it's about time to some levels. When you consider they've underpaid and overworked their staff, the amount of sexual assault, adultery, and predation claims that have been done by some of the actors, and giving little to no credit to any those who create original Grimm for the series, and the slow pace it's taken to get the last two and a half to get to this point, almost 2 years to get Volume 9 off the ground, is a little annoying. It has gotten on people's nerves. Does this mean RTX the con will get shut down this year and not happen? Probably. But you know what? I feel sorry for many of my peers on YouTube who have worked with Rooster Teeth over the years, mostly reacting to RWBY episodes usually a week after they air. Individuals like Calix, Murder of Birds, Liam Catterson, Freelancer Amber, That Kaido Dan, Eruption Fang, even though he's basically blacklisted for him being one of only a handful of individuals who stuck up for stuck their neck out for Vic Mignogna in the whole Vic Mignogna fiasco in 2019. But this is not about that. This is about Crunchyroll taking over RWBY from here on out. So what's Volume 9 going to be about? Basically, coming to terms with one's identity, and as well as Team RWBY, Jean, and maybe Neo finding a way out of the land of ever after. If you remember one of the stories from last volume, Ozpin and Oscar were talking when they were captured by Salem, and then Ozpin mentions it to the group near the end of the volume, which is basically about the girl who fell through the world, one of many of the stories by Lewis Carroll, the author of Alice in Wonderland. A girl who escaped from her own reality into a world where there were so many problems she thought she could fix them, but she only ended up making things worse. So I guess getting my Zorro character to be portrayed by John Young Bosch for Volume 10, which I basically created in a fanfic for a contact of mine on doublef.net, who's been writing this story for a little over 2 years now. His story for about 2.5 years now. For those wondering, this Zorro reference character would have been played by JYB. And in this case, he would have popped up in Volume 10. What's his story? Well, he's basically a retcon for Winter's backstory, as he's an old flame of hers from their time in Atlas Academy. And what's his semblance? Omens. Basically a form of precognition. By making eye contact with someone, he can see the future of that individual based on the decisions that person makes. And should those decisions lead to a bad outcome, he will go out of his way to try to prevent that catastrophe from happening at best, or at worst, helping those who get caught in the crossfire endure it. Because he knows decisions have consequences. For those wondering, his name is Diego, and his vigilante name is Volpe, Italian for fox. And he'd be basically wearing the Zorro attire when he's out on duty. And again, I would have had him played by JYB if this were to happen. But given now that Crunchyroll is now in control of the show and how overly critical and condescending and scathing I have been towards the majority of the voice actors and actresses, take a guess at which ones. This is probably not going to happen. Especially with a certain someone basically being let into the back door, so to speak. Someone who I wish were dead, or at least behind bars for what she did to a certain other someone by starting a smear campaign and demanding, and in some cases threatening, the con operators across the country to not let that certain someone back into cons ever again. And with her lies, with the lies she spread a few years ago. And you guys would know who I'm talking about. Even though I have beaten that point, I am beating a dead horse by reiterating that point. Regardless, how are things going to pan out in February of 2023? Who fucking knows? But I'm going to let you in on a little something. I don't need a Crunchyroll sub to watch the show. I've got my own little back door to do it. But I'm not going to tell you what it is. Leave a comment, smash a like, sub to the channel. This is Mets2128 signing out. Goodbye, and good fucking night. Bang.